That little brown bottle sitting in your medicine cabinet costs about $1 at the drugstore, and most people think it is only good for cleaning scrapes or whitening teeth. But here is something that might surprise you. Experienced gardeners have been quietly using hydrogen peroxide in their flower beds, vegetable patches, and houseplants for decades, and the results can be honestly shocking. Hydrogen peroxide has the chemical formula H2O2, and it is almost identical to water, just with one extra oxygen atom. That single extra atom is what makes it such a powerhouse in the garden. When it breaks down, it releases pure oxygen right where your plants need it most, while also acting as a natural disinfectant, fungicide, and pest fighter. The best part? A standard 3% hydrogen peroxide from any grocery store or pharmacy is all you need. No fancy concentrations, no expensive specialty products. Just dilute it properly, and you have a secret weapon that can outperform products costing 10 times as much. So before you toss that bottle back in the bathroom cabinet, let us go through the 9 ways it can completely transform your garden. Supercharge your seed germination. If you've ever planted seeds and watched them take forever to sprout, or worse, never sprout at all, hydrogen peroxide might be the trick you've been missing. Seeds have a tough outer coat that has to soften before water, and oxygen can get inside and wake up the embryo. A diluted hydrogen peroxide soak helps break down that coat faster, and it also kills bacteria and fungi on the seed surface that could cause rot in the soil. On top of that, the extra oxygen molecules give the tiny embryo a boost right when it is waking up, and research has shown this can speed up germination and produce stronger seedlings. Here's how to do it. Mix 1 TBSP of 3% hydrogen peroxide with about 9 TBSP of water. That yields roughly a 0.3% solution, which is gentle enough for just about any seed. Drop your seeds in and let them soak anywhere from 30 minutes for delicate seeds, like lettuce or tomatoes, up to a few hours for tougher seeds, like peas or beans. Then rinse them off and plant as normal. Don't be surprised if things pop up days earlier than they usually do. Wipe out fungus gnats for good. If you've got houseplants, you probably know the pain of fungus gnats. Those tiny little flies seem to appear out of nowhere, hover around your face, and refuse to leave. Most people swat at the adults and put out sticky traps, but that is only fighting half the battle. The real problem is underground. Fungus gnat larvae live in the top 1 inch or so of your soil, munching on organic matter. Once that runs out, they chew the delicate root hairs of your plants. That is what weakens and kills the plant, not the flying adults. Here is where hydrogen peroxide shines. Mix 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide with 4 parts water in a watering can. Let the top 2 inches of your soil dry out completely, then water your plant with the solution just like you normally would until it drains out the bottom. You will actually hear a fizzing sound as the peroxide hits the soil. That is the peroxide killing the larvae on contact. The solution breaks down into water and oxygen within a few hours, so there is no lingering residue. Do this 1 or 2 times, and your fungus gnat problem will be a distant memory. Rescue plants from root rot. Root rot is one of those garden problems that feels like a death sentence. You notice your plant wilting, yellowing, or just looking sad for no obvious reason. And by the time you check the roots, they are mushy, brown, and smell awful. Most people toss the plant at this point, but hydrogen peroxide can sometimes bring it back from the brink. Root rot happens when roots are sitting in waterlogged soil with no oxygen, which lets anaerobic fungi and bacteria take over. Hydrogen peroxide attacks this problem from 2 angles. It kills the bad fungi and bacteria on contact, and it floods the root zone with oxygen, which is exactly what rotting roots are starving for. Gently remove the plant, rinse off the old soil, and trim away any black, mushy roots with clean scissors. Then mix 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide with 2 parts water and soak the healthy remaining roots for just a few minutes. Replant in fresh, dry soil and water lightly. It is not a 100% guarantee. Once rot has gone too far, some plants cannot be saved. But you would be amazed how many you can bring back with this trick. Aerate compacted soil. One of the biggest silent killers in any garden is compacted soil. When the soil gets dense and packed down from foot traffic, heavy rain, or years of neglect, oxygen cannot reach the roots. And without oxygen, roots cannot absorb nutrients properly, no matter how much you fertilize. This is especially a problem with heavy clay soil, which tends to seal up and turn into something close to concrete when it dries out. The long-term fix is working in compost and organic matter, but that takes time. In the short term, a hydrogen peroxide soil drench can give your roots some immediate breathing room. Mix about 1 TDP of 3% hydrogen peroxide per quart of water and water your plants with it at the base. When it hits the soil, it breaks down and releases oxygen bubbles right around the root zone. Your plants get that extra oxygen boost they have been craving, and within a few days, you can often see them perk up, green up, and start growing again. Just do not overdo it. Once every few weeks is plenty. Stop powdery mildew and fungal leaf diseases. Powdery mildew is that white, chalky, dusty-looking stuff that shows up on squash, zucchini, cucumbers, and roses, usually right when they are about to hit their prime. It spreads fast, weakens plants, and can ruin an entire harvest if you do not catch it early. The good news is hydrogen peroxide is a natural fungicide, and it works great as a foliar spray for mild to moderate fungal problems. It kills mildew spores on contact by oxidizing them, and it does so without the harsh chemicals found in store-bought fungicides. Mix 1 TDP of 3% hydrogen peroxide with 1 cup of water in a spray bottle. Spray directly on the affected leaves, both the tops and the undersides, in the early morning or evening, so the sun does not scorch the wet leaves. Repeat every few days until the mildew clears up. This works for many common fungal leaf diseases too, not just powdery mildew. A quick tip: always test on a few leaves first to make sure your specific plant tolerates it, and avoid using it on plants with fuzzy leaves, since water can get trapped and cause problems. Sterilize your pruning shears and garden tools. This is one of those tips that separates casual gardeners from the pros, and it can literally save your plants' lives. Every time you use pruning shears, loppers, or a garden knife on a plant, you are potentially spreading disease. If one plant has a virus, fungus, or bacterial infection, your tools become the perfect way to carry it straight to the next healthy plant you prune. This is how entire gardens get wiped out from a single infected rosebush or tomato plant. Hydrogen peroxide is one of the simplest ways to disinfect garden tools between uses. Just wipe the blades with a rag soaked in 3% hydrogen peroxide, no dilution needed for this one, or dip them in a small container of it for about 30 seconds. It kills viruses, bacteria, and fungal spores almost instantly, and unlike bleach, it will not corrode your metal tools or leave behind any harmful residue. Do this between every plant if you are dealing with disease, and at the very least at the start and end of every gardening session. Sanitize your seed starting mix. If you've ever had a tray of beautiful seedlings suddenly keel over and die at the base for no reason, you've experienced damping off. It's heartbreaking, especially after you've spent weeks nurturing those seeds. Damping off is caused by soil-borne fungi that attack young seedlings right at the stem line, and it can wipe out an entire tray overnight. The worst part is that those fungi can be hiding in store-bought seed-starting mix, even from reputable brands. Hydrogen peroxide is a simple fix. Before you plant your seeds, pre-treat your seed-starting mix by watering it with a solution of 1 TUN/SP of 3% hydrogen peroxide per cup of water. This sterilizes the mix and kills off any hidden fungal spores without harming the seeds you are about to plant. You can also use a slightly weaker version, about 1 part of 3% peroxide to 6 parts water, for watering your seedlings during their first couple of weeks of life. That helps protect them during that vulnerable early stage and gives their tiny roots a little oxygen boost at the same time. Clean and disinfect used plant pots. Reusing old plant pots is a smart way to save money, but it can also be a fast way to spread disease to your new plants. Old pots often have crusty mineral deposits, leftover soil, and worst of all, invisible fungal spores, bacteria, and insect eggs from whatever was growing in them before. Most people rinse their pots with water and call it a day. That's not nearly enough. To properly sanitize them, mix 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide with 2 parts water in a bucket or tub, then soak your pots for 10 minutes. Use a stiff brush to scrub off any remaining dirt or deposits, then rinse with clean water and let them dry in the sun. This works for plastic pots, terracotta, ceramic, and even plastic seed-starting trays. You end up with pots that are genuinely clean and safe to reuse, not just pots that look clean. It's a small step, but it makes a huge difference in how healthy your next round of plants will be. Keep your cut flowers fresh longer. This last one isn't technically about the garden, but if you're the kind of person who likes to cut fresh flowers from your yard and bring them inside, you're going to love it. Cut flowers die in the vase, mostly because bacteria build up in the water, clog the stems, and stop the flowers from drinking. Those little flower food packets that come with bouquets work partly by killing that bacteria. Hydrogen peroxide does the exact same job for a tiny fraction of the cost. Just add about 1/19 SP of 3% hydrogen peroxide per quart of vase water before you arrange your flowers. It keeps the water clean and clear, prevents that slimy film from forming on the stems, and can extend the life of your bouquet by several days. Change out the water every few days and add a fresh splash of peroxide each time. Roses, tulips, sunflowers, daisies, they all respond beautifully to this little trick. Before you run off to the store, a couple of quick things to keep in mind. Always use standard 3% hydrogen peroxide, the kind in the brown bottle from the drugstore. Never use food-grade 35% peroxide for general gardening unless you dilute it way down first, because at that concentration it is seriously dangerous and can burn your skin. Also, always dilute it according to whatever task you are doing. Stronger is not better here. In fact, too much hydrogen peroxide can kill off the beneficial microbes in your soil, along with the bad stuff. So, it is best used as a targeted fix rather than an everyday routine. And always mix your solutions fresh, since peroxide starts breaking down as soon as it is exposed to light and air. Store your bottle in a cool, dark place, keep it sealed tight, and you will have a garden multi-tool that costs almost nothing, but does the work of a dozen expensive products. If these gardening secrets have changed the way you look at that little brown bottle in your cabinet, please subscribe to our channel and like this video. We are uncovering the natural methods and historical wisdom that often get overlooked. Let's grow a better future together. Our next horticultural treasure will be revealed very soon.